Chibits, you know what time it is. Come on. It's the Praise the Sun! Escanor versus Esta fucking Rosa. Yo! This chapter, it's out early. It's out on a Saturday. Normally this chapter comes out on a Monday. It is here early, which is to kind of be expected because chapters this week have been coming out rather early. I mean, look, One Piece, Bleach, Toriko, and stuff, they came out on a Wednesday. Normally they come out on a Thursday, and then Tokyo Ghoul came out on a Friday, normally comes out on a Saturday, and now Taizai comes out on a freaking Saturday when it normally comes out on Monday. Today is a glorious day because Escanor versus Estarossa. Oh my god, just pure 100% hype. That is exactly what this chapter was. And I'm just gonna dive into some of the key moments in this chapter that just really made me love Escanor a whole lot more and even enjoy Estarossa. I love these two characters and just seeing them go at it, oh, it's just so badass, just so much hype. Like, I woke up and instantly I read this chapter and I was just like jumping for joy because it's just so fucking good. So let's just talk about the one scene where Estarossa, he attacks Escanor. So yes, Estarossa is the first person to initiate the attack, and he attacks Escanor, like, punches him straight up. Escanor hits the ground. It looked like a very devastating blow. It looked like Estarossa really put a lot of power into that punch, and really might have hurt Escanor. When Escanor hits the ground, it seems like everything is fine, and then all of a sudden, Escanor, he retaliates, and he hits Estarossa, okay, and Estarossa actually guards. He puts up his guard stance, like he's guarding his, like, hit, like his big punch coming in, and he gets hit when he's guarding, and after that was done, after he got hit by Escanor, after, you know, Estarossa was guarding, Escanor starts getting, like, lopsided, and he actually falls to the fucking ground and gets on his knees. I'm like, yo! Fucking Escanor made Estarossa get on his damn knees with one punch, dude. And Estarossa was on his fucking knees after one hit. Escanor punches this man while he's guarding, motherfucking guarding, and he gets on his knees, yo. And what's even scarier is that Estarossa, he felt the presence of Escanor as a giant sun. Like, you saw one panel to when he was like turning, and you just see this big sun behind him, which shows you that that was Escanor. Just his overall overwhelming presence around Estarossa, and you just gotta love how fast fucking Escanor was in this chapter. Like, seriously, many people are probably underestimating Escanor and thinking he wasn't that fast, but let's just take a moment to realize what happened. Estarossa hit Escanor, and he kind of did a couple of blows to him, and then, you know, Escanor hit the ground, and you just see him on the ground and all that, and instantly, in like a couple of panels, or one panel, Escanor is just already punching this man. He punches Estarossa and then makes him on his knees. So just with that alone, Escanor's speed to go up from like a sitting position, like kind of on the ground, to coming over there and punching him in the side, that's some powerful shit. Just Escanor managing to make the guy that's like the strongest Ten Commandment on his knees, just like, yo. And then, moving past that, which was one of the most surprising things about this chapter, was that we found out that Estarossa, he can actually use full counter. Yeah, so he actually can use abilities like Meliodas. Now, there is key differences here, which I'm going to point out. So, Meliodas, he can only use full counter against magical type abilities. And now, finding out in this chapter, Estarossa can use full counter against physical type of ability. So it's kind of like the perfect counter for Escanor, because Escanor is like, majority of it all bronze. He just goes in and he beats the shit out of people. So I mean, Escanor is like mainly bronze, but we do know he can use some form of magic, at the very least some form of sunlight, because we have seen it before in his previous fights. And he says, I guess I want to use some of my full power. He says at the end, and you see him charging, and you see the sun in the sky. He's like making a mini nuke, dude. Like, Escanor's charging a fucking mini nuke. We saw what he did to the Ten Commandments, what he did to Balor and them, like, earlier on, many chapters back. And then now seeing him doing this shit again, he's about to make a fucking mini nuke and come at Estarossa. Yo, it's gonna be so hype. It's gonna be so hype. Oh. So this chapter made me just so happy. I'm just so happy because, for one, finding out that Estarossa, he can actually take some blows from Escanor, even though he only took one blow and he was on his knees, it's still rather impressive. I mean, so far from what we've seen from Escanor, anyone that's standing in front of this man is just overwhelming. Like, people just shit themselves and go against their own commandment because they're scared of Escanor. Like, look, Escanor made Gollum just shit a brick, and he turned to stone. He was petrified because he was just that scared of Escanor. He made Scylla burn herself, okay? That's just how bad it was. So, I mean, this man Escanor, if he manages to make, you know, Estarossa feel any hatred towards him, you can already imagine how devastating that would be. Imagine if Estarossa was afflicted by his own commandment thanks to what Escanor is doing. That would be just so badass. That really would. Now, one thing I will say is the only way I can see Escanor losing in a proper fashion I would be willing to accept would be if he found out about what happened to Merlin. Because this is one of the main things, the deciding factors here of how this fight could turn into something very bad. As we know, Merlin and Escanor, they kind of have this connection. You know, Escanor has a thing for Merlin. He likes Merlin quite a bit. And we know what happened to Merlin. She's kind of detached from her body after what Gollum did. Now, Escanor, granted, he did beat the shit out of Gollum. And Gollum, there is a possibility he is still alive. Even though he's petrified, there might be a way for him to come back or something. Because if I remember correctly, the statue wasn't completely shattered or anything. So Gollum could possibly come back. But the main thing is that Escanor doesn't know about this. He doesn't know what happened to Merlin, and if he found out what happened to Merlin, he might feel some form of hatred towards the Ten Commandments, which would cause him not being able to fight. I could see something like that happening, which would be quite the twist, and that might be the reason why Nakaba-sensei has yet to actually let us know if Escanor knows about Merlin or not. Now, moving past that, let's talk about some of the things here that Escanor is currently up against. So he is fighting Estarossa that can use a full counter, the ability to reflect all of his physical attacks, and Escanor, he takes a blow that technically he did to himself. After he was going at Estarossa, Estarossa reflected it back, and it hit Escanor right in the shoulder blade. And we see Escanor actually spew some blood, and you gotta love the comment that Escanor says. He's like, oh, that explains it. I thought I felt some pain. It's to be expected since it's from me. And I'm like, bro, fucking Escanor, man. He takes a blow, and he's like, yep, I'm so prideful, I'm willing to admit that myself is the only thing that can hurt myself and make me feel pain. I'm just that fucking prideful. That shit made me just smile for joy. I'm like, Escanor always has, like, the best lines, dude. He's just such a well-written character. Even though, I've talked about this before, he's a character that's kind of like a plot device. Let's just get to the cold, hard truth. He's like a plot device. A man that is so broken that he could easily be abused and just destroy the thread of the series. But the way he's so balanced when it comes to his power, it just makes him such a good character. I mean, the way he's written, too, especially with his dialogue, it just makes him so fascinating. And usually characters like this really could just drag down the series and make the series complete shit, but Escanor is not doing that. He's actually bringing the series up when it comes to hype and quality just because of how he is written. Now, like I said though, there is possibilities Escanor can lose, and honestly, I'm gonna be sad if he does lose in a way when it comes to like pure physical power, because I mean, one of the things that's going for Escanor right now as a character is just that he brings the hype. He's a man that is unstoppable. He's a guy that's just been on this winning streak and cannot be stopped, and the only way I could see him possibly losing if it comes something to Merlin, because that is one of his weaknesses. We know that. If there's actually, no, there's two weaknesses to Escanor. It's his pride, and it's Merlin. Merlin and Escanor's pride are the two biggest weaknesses when it comes to his character, and also, obviously, the night. I guess the nighttime is another big weakness, but if there's anything that could probably hurt Escanor in his daytime self, it would be Merlin. Because if Merlin is injured or something, and if he feels hatred, instant KO for Escanor when it comes to Estarossa, so that is a possibility. So yeah, I mean, this chapter, very fascinating, a very good chapter, because this isn't going to be an easy curb stomp for Escanor. He's not going to be able to probably take out Estarossa instantly, but we do know that Escanor has magic type of abilities. We have seen it before, so that means that, you know, Estarossa can't reflect those back, like how Meliodas can, unless Escanor has some form of move that's similar to Meliodas, and he can do something like that. We have yet to see. So yeah, let me know your thoughts in the comments below. You all have a wonderful day or night wherever you live. Oh, what am I doing? I forgot about one thing. Piety. Zeldris has piety, which is to be expected, but we also found out that if you have piety, and, like, if, for instance, you turn your back to Zeldris, you're, like, turning the back to the Demon King, and then you will serve the Demon King in the Ten Commandments with complete faith. So that might explain what happened to Balor, and also the Fairy King. That might be the reason why they changed allegiances, and they, you know, moved over into the Ten Commandments. That could explain what happened there. So most likely it's because of Zeldris as to why Balor, the Giant King, and the Fairy King are working for the Ten Commandments. Now that said that, I want to end this video. Y'all have a wonderful day or night wherever you live. Please be safe. Chibi out.